How does that work?
1:30 ish.
1:30,
Okay.
1:30-ish.
We're also packing for Buckley, so it's like I think everybody's
Oh, right.
ish. Ish.
Wow.
1:30,
Okay.
1:30-ish. Yeah, it's a
We're also
busy
packing.
time, I tell you.
Sorry, my YouTube was going on. Okay, we are streaming. And we'll wait for those. I'm just turn on the AI. My lifesaver.
Christina, can I just try sharing screen and then putting my screen on presentation mode to make sure that it actually
Absolutely.
shares?
Go right ahead.
All right.
Looks good to me so far. Yep, looks good.
Yeah.
You see it in slideshow mode? Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do.
Okay, let me put the link in board docs. Hi, Chairperson Ledger. Hold on.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening.
evening. Good
Good evening.
evening.
Good evening.
We still have a few minutes to give board members time to join. As far as staff, we are all here, and visitors, I believe.
I think, yeah, we're waiting on one more, but I'm sure she'll just join during the meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, they don't present till later.
gotcha.
Everyone ready for the holiday or the break?
Getting there.
For the break, yes. For the holiday, no.
I guess it's hard because define ready.
Okay, do you have a turkey? Like, is this the only time you ever eat turkey or cook turkey? Or are you
Yes.
doing turkey?
For the most part, yeah. This and Christmas, I would say for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This and Christmas, those are the two times that, yes, we do try and make the turkey. And I actually make the turkey. So, I make
Oh.
a turkey wrapped in bacon, as wild as that sounds. But yes,
Oh,
that's my recipe.
Sounds
Impressive.
delicious.
that does sound delicious.
Yeah. Has anyone ever deep fried a turkey
Yeah. I've tasted
or
a
like
deep fried
fried a
turkey,
turkey?
but I've never done the deep frying, but I have tasted.
I see Dr. Coburn shaking her head. I
Mhm.
always get scared about the deep frying machine and like, setting the place ablaze, but so I haven't tried it myself.
I am a fan. I'll say that.
Yeah. I
I
have a
don't know.
neighbor
I'm
who
like,
they do it outdoors.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know. Because, turkey is always a challenge because you don't want it to be dry. And I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes frying it, I'm like, this is an egg. No.
Those deep fryers, like you said, can be dangerous.
Yes. It's a lot of height.
Yes.
I've been into the turkey wings partly because I saw it trending on TikTok. And now you can't find them in the store anywhere.
Of course. Of course.
Well,
Okay.
it's 5 o'clock. Do we have
Let me start texting. Well, we have
board members?
Mr. Tatum here, and that's it so far. I know Miss Brody's on a meeting and she's jumping onto this one. Let me see.
Okay.
Keep forgetting who's on what committee. Actually, we need to invite
So
more
I
board
can
members.
so I can start at 5:03
Okay.
just to give folks a little bit of time, but also be respectful of everyone's time.
Mhm. Sounds good. Okay, it is 5:03, just FYI.
Okay, we will get started then. Are we all set?
Yes, we are good to go.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Teaching and Learning Committee meeting for the Hartford Public Schools, Hartford Board of Education. My name is Francoise Darastel Ledger, and I am chair of this committee. Today is November 25th, 2025, and I want to welcome everyone. And thank you for being here. Christina, can you please put the agenda up? Thank you so much. And our first agenda item is adult education grants, and I will turn it over to Terrence Cunningham.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here. I'm here with my CEE team. We'll all present this information for you this evening. We're here to discuss our adult education grant. First, I'd like to review our mission to provide all students with the learning and supports they need to succeed in school and in life. Our vision is for all students who graduate prepared to transform our world. Next, you'll see a summary of adult education and cooperating eligible entities. First, I'd like to request for the Board of Education to approve and accept grant funds at the December 16th Board of Education meeting. Share a little bit about adult education. According to Section 1069 of the Connecticut General Statute, each local and regional Board of Education in Connecticut is required to establish and maintain a program of adult classes or provide for participation in such a program through cooperative arrangements with other boards of education, eligible entities, or regional educational service center. Hartford Public Schools actually provides our own adult education services. Cooperating eligible entities, CEEs, are provided by the State Department of Education. The grant application is submitted by CEEs through Hartford Adult Education to the State Department of Education. Upon the SDE approval of those grants, the funds flow through Hartford Public Schools to be distributed. The relationship between CEEs and adult education providers is common in many communities across the state. As you see at the bottom of the screen here is kind of our operational budget. I'll start with adult education. The state provides 63% of our budget, which is $1,746,193. The district provides 37% of our operating budget, $1,032,530, which is a total operational budget of $2,778,723. In 2024-25, funding allocations to the adult education program was $3,082,530. The state of Connecticut decreased funding to all adult education programs statewide, resulting in reduced allocations for each and every district. Next stat, you'll see the CEE allocations. Hartford Public Library receives $226,000. Literacy Volunteers receives $105,506. And the Urban League receives $6,798 with a total operating budget of $338,304. On this next slide, you see some of our background, but I'd also like to start off by talking about a little bit of our successes. We had 53 students receiving 12 hours, meaning in adult education, you have to go to class for 12 hours to be identified as a student enrolled with us. So we had 853 last year in 2025, with a total enrollment of 3,059 classes. We had 358 students improve basic skills. That's in 2025. And in 2024, we only had 191, which is a major increase. We had 380 students enter employment in 2025. In 2015, we had 215 students, which is also an increase. And in 2025, we had 68 students that graduated with a diploma. And in 2024, we only had 24, which is a major increase as well. If you look down below there, you'll see some of all of our programs that we offer and provide for our community. and a little bit about those programs. First, you have our GED. We offer that in English and in Spanish, which is a high school diploma equivalency program, which most people know about that program. The Adult English Language Learners is our ESL program, which is a non-accredited program which provides educational services for individuals trying to learn English. We also offer our Credit Diploma program, which is a high school completion program, which leads to a student receiving a high school diploma. Our National Education Diploma program is NEDP is another way a student can receive either high school diploma. Most of these students are experienced, have life experiences, and go through a series of competencies to achieve their high school diploma. And we offer U.S. citizenship classes in order for students to, work towards becoming citizens here in the United States. All these programs are offered Monday through Friday in the evenings as well as during the day. We have our site here at 85 Edward Street is where all these classes are being held. On this next page, you see the adult education, our program measures. We will monitor students' CASAS gain scores, enrollment, attendance, and retention, which indicates students' ABE levels towards GED attainment. Students are categorized into levels 1 through 6 based on their CASAS scores, as reflected in the measurable skills and educational functioning levels. Now, below you'll see what our goals are for this year throughout all of our programs. We want to increase measurable skills gains for our GED students by 10 percentage points from 43% in 2025 to 53% in 2026. Increase measurable skills gains for our ESL students by 10 percentage points from 37% in 2025 to 47% in 2026. Increase our measurable skills gain for CDP students as well, 35% in 2025 to 45% in 2026. Increase the educational functioning levels in math by 10 percentage points from 58% in June of 2025 to 68% in 2026. And increase our educational functioning levels in reading by 10% as well, going from 51% in 2025 and to 61% in 2026. And as well as we want to graduate 100% of our NEDP students, which currently have 35 in June of 2026. On this next slide, I'd like to turn this over to my partner over at Literacy Volunteers, Mr. Stephen Morris.
Good evening, everybody. As Terrence said, my name is Steve, and I'm really happy to be here to go quickly over kind of who we are. So Literacy Volunteers of Greater Hartford, we are over here on Arbor Street, and we've been serving the city for the last 53 years, and we've been partners with Hartford Adult Ed for a very long time, and it's been a really important partnership for both programs. So our role really is we serve essentially the lowest literate in the city. We have a really nice relationship with Terrence and his team at the Adult Ed where we kind of refer back and forth. So a lot of times students that aren't ready for their program will come to us. And for example, a great example of that is our GED prep course. So if someone is not ready for Hartford Adult Ed's GED program or their NEDP program, they can come to us, and a lot of times it's small group instruction, one-on-one, tailoring it to that individual, whether it's math, reading and writing, and then using the same testing procedures that Adult Ed uses and the whole state of Connecticut uses. Then once that student hits that number, we then send them back to Hartford Adult Ed and they can join their program. So we've been doing that for a while. And our biggest program right now, as it has been for some time, is our English for Speakers of Other Languages program. And that's people that are, of course, learning English for the first time. And again, we serve really the students that are not ready for our higher level groups. I would say the average student that comes to us is probably at about the second grade reading level or below. That's probably actually the majority of our students are at that level. But it's a lot of fun, and we have different programs, including ABE, ESOL. We do digital literacy. We have math classes. We do citizenship prep. And then we also have what we call our Career Pathways program, and that's helping students kind of take those elevated literacy skills that they're gaining in their small groups and then turn those into livable wage employment opportunities. We have staff that we call career navigators that can help people make resumes and all the way to job applications, mock interview skills. And we've been quite successful in that. We also, as it says on the screen, we also offer some certifications, industry recognized certifications in the culinary, hospitality, logistics, and construction industries. And kind of why a lot of students come to us is that the program is less intense than Hartford Adult Ed, where it meets 2 times a week and for 4 hours a week. And so a lot of students kind of that aren't ready for more intense classes will come to us for the small group instruction. And as it says there, that the grant, like Terrence mentioned, like all the adult ed providers, we also got cut by about 13% statewide. So the budget that we have there, 105, 506 is a little less than expected, but unfortunately that's the situation that we're in. And we're hoping that you guys will approve the funds so we can continue to do our work and continue to partner with Hartford Adult Ed. So if anybody has any questions, happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay. We have our partner here from the Urban League, Mr. David Hopkins. I'll kind of turn it over to him at this point. Mr. Hopkins, is he there?
Is Mr. Hopkins?
I do see him. It looks like he might have trouble.
I see him on here, but I don't know if he's able to speak.
Might have to select a different mic.
I see. Yeah, his mic is
Yes,
on, but it's not. He's not muted, according to.
you might have to select a different mic if you can do that. And in the meantime, I'm sorry, I did not pause long enough for questions, but I don't know if you want to wait till all three CEEs have spoken and then ask questions.
I am okay with waiting. If we can get
Mr. Hopkins is
Mr. Hopkins on.
I wonder in the meantime, Director Cunningham, if you could just give an overview of the work that's currently happening, and then if he can come in, he can talk about his lens, facilitating some of this, just so that we don't hold up the time.
Okay. Well, we do have quite a few things going on in adult education. We're really heavily looking into college and career readiness for our students. We're partnering with the Capital Workforce Partners to try to bring different additional services to our students. We really try to make sure our students have a wide variety of experiences. I think one of the key things in adult ed is for students to not just get an instructional background, but also be prepared for the job market. Because as you know, most of our students are older. When they come to us, they're really ready to make that next step in life. So we're trying to prepare them for the immediacy of having a job opportunity, having a post-secondary opportunity once they walk out of our doors to either go to a 2-year school, a training institute, or go to a 4-year institution to get higher learning. So we're constantly pushing and pressing our students to move forward in that direction. And in order for them to be there, we have to provide those wraparound skills here, soft skills here, so they can be prepared to utilize the technology that's available in the job market, looking at a lot of these new innovations like AI and virtual reality, which is some things that we use in our career development programming for our students. So we try to venture into a lot of different avenues just so we can have a wealth of experiences for our students while they're here. So when they walk out of our doors, they're prepared for that job market or prepare for that next level of instructional practice for themselves. This Mr. Mr. Hopkins, I see, is he back?
Yeah, well, yeah, I am back. Good evening, everyone. Apologies.
Transfer this over to you now.
Yep, thank you very much, and appreciate everyone's patience. My laptop computer is camera and microphone are going in and out, so I couldn't. I thought I was available, but it wasn't. So now I'm on my phone. But just really quickly, thank you for the opportunity. My name is David Hopkins. I am the president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Hartford. Many people are familiar with the Urban League at the very least by its name as a legacy civil rights organization. Now I'm trying to, oh man, this is getting quite hilarious at this point. Yeah. But yeah, the Urban League is a legacy civil rights organization started in 1910 in New York, in 1964 in Hartford, Connecticut. And so we've been for 60 years providing economic empowerment through what we call 5 pillars: education, employment, housing, health, and justice. We believe those 5 things make a community more economically mobile. We work expressly, not exclusively, to serve the Black American population, in which we see these 5 things allowing the community to become more economically self-reliant. Education is, of course, the earliest or the first pillar, as it positions people to obtain the qualifications and credentials to begin their personal financial journey, positions them to obtain employment, and then with that job, they can start building assets where we identify housing and first-time home buyer programs and personal financial management as tools to help strengthen that household. For education, we focus primarily on high school students through our Project Ready Scholars Program, which gets kids ready for college, work, and life. We recognize that some of those students also might include some opportunity youth that may be disconnected or out of school OST students. So therefore they fit into the bucket where we also identify and find students who participate in our adult learning program, which services essentially kids 14 to 99. And that's to make sure that people can be on a trajectory to obtain the qualifications to position themselves for employment. So like other colleagues in this space, and we were one of three that you could see in the earlier slide. The Urban League provides this tool, and we have a significant population of, as I mentioned before, Black Americans, but also Afro-Caribbean participants in our program. Our services are primarily GED preparation. We have our classes in our building at 140 Woodland and Asylum Hill during the day and the evening, depending on the availability of our instructors, but primarily during this cycle, during the evening hours. And so, one of the things that we value also is being able to transition our students, because of our comprehensive services that do include workforce development and financial literacy, into jobs and career paths that hopefully will position them for better employment opportunities, better paying jobs, more stable jobs for their future. So this is a critical component to the work that we do at the Urban League. And again, focusing primarily on those who have been historically marginalized, but primarily can find opportunities to improve their academic position, educational insights, and then workforce capabilities and positioning. So we're happy to be a part of the network of people providing these services, and thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hopkins. And now we have another team member, Ms. Nafisi from the Hartford Public Library. She's new to our CEE team.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us, inviting us to speak to you tonight. Very briefly, I want to go over some of the services that we've been offering now for close to 25 years. ESL is our strongest program, and the past, maybe in 2016, we expanded that to also offer ESL to late arrival ESL students that enroll in high school, and they may have just a year or two before they age out of the system. Both programs are at capacity. We have waiting lists. We offer classes on the weekends, not the after-school program, but our adult classes on the weekends is the most widely attended. Most likely because that accommodates the adult work schedule better. We have 6 classes running concurrently, and they're all full with about 15 to 20 participants in each class on Saturdays. Our next program, which is our strongest and our flagship, is our U.S. citizenship program. Again, we've also worked with the high schools, because we want, if an individual is qualified, as soon as they turn 18 and they leave the school, we want to make sure that they are aware that they may be eligible for citizenship, and we'd like to grab them at that point, because then we'll lose track of them. But that program kind of quadrupled, for lack of better words, once we became authorized and recognized as an organization to offer legal services, which is, so it's a one-stop citizenship program. You come in, we apply you, we offer citizenship classes, and we also help you complete the application form. A program that we're looking to build is our GED preparation program. This grant is going to help facilitate that. We're now going to be a GED registrar, which is going to strengthen our ability to refer students that we are not able to accommodate in what we call GED preparation learning circles. Those will really focus on the higher level students that are looking to get their GED. And then the others, we will be referring to literacy volunteers and Hartford Adult Ed, of course. It's going to be a prep program, blended learning, where we will show students how they can use online, an online course called Aztec, which I think Adult Ed uses as well. And then once they learn how to use it, they can continue practicing if they don't have internet at home at any of our 8 branches across the city, at the neighborhood branches. And if they don't have a device, we loan them a device that they can borrow for the duration of their studies. Digital literacy and financial literacy, civics is all integrated into all our classes. Finally, we are also a Pearson VUE testing site, and we offer those testing hours, again, are scheduled on Saturdays. So Saturdays is our strongest day, and we hope, again, with these funds, we will be able to strengthen the Saturdays even further and also offer classes on Sunday. Come January, we're going to start introducing a Sunday citizenship and a Saturday ESL class.
Thank you so much for the overview. I know that we have 3 contracts for adult education, and so I'm very happy that we were able to have our partners join. I know that we have another group that's going. So I know the agenda and the slides were sent, so we would open it up to questions that you would have, so that if we miss something, we could answer it there. But for the sake of overdoing it, can we just open it up for questions?
Absolutely. That's a great idea. Let me just take a look. And first, thank you for the presentations. It's very important that, you know, this work is done, that this work continues, so that people, you know, who are taking advantage of these services can become proficient and, you know, effective individuals in the community. One question that I do have, and I'm not sure who can answer this, is in light of the, I would say, the uncertain times that we're living in right now, with regards to immigration and deportation and all of that, how has traffic been? How receptive are folks, or how willing are folks still, you know, to come out and take advantage of the services?
Well, in adult ed, our enrollment's down a little bit. I think that it based off of our last 2 years. But one thing that we've tried to do a lot here is to try to bring a sense of normalcy into our building. We also provide supports for them. Like last year, I held a couple of forums for immigrations and invited attorneys in to talk to our students about what's going on in that, with regards to immigrations and what's going on in our nation, with regards to how they can become citizens, and try to provide supports and information and dialogue, and keep our students at a certain level of comfort by knowing that we're all part of the same process to help support them. I think a lot of those different measures that we've taken has given them a sense of understanding and a little bit sense of security here, knowing that we're going to do everything in our power to help provide services for them so they can either become citizens or know avenues to get their citizenship here. But yeah, it has affected our enrollment a little bit. But as this year has gone on, we see more and more students coming back into our fold.
Great, thank you so much. Let me see. I don't see any hands up from our board members. Just taking another look. We have a comment from board member Stephen Tatum. Thank you all very much for the work you do supporting our community through adult education. I just wanted to read that out loud. And I believe you're very welcome. And I believe that we are ready to go on to the next.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all this evening for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And our next agenda item, let's see. Christina, if you can pull that up.
Yep, I think that would be me.
Yes,
Sorry,
Dr. Al Saki.
Yep, it's a Department of Elementary Teaching and Learning presentation that is a contract embedded in that. So Dr. Saki.
Okay, yes, good evening, members of the board, Chair Doris Ledger. I hope you're all doing well. And before we get started, I do want to go over our mission and vision. I know Mr. Cunningham just did, but I would like to do the same as well. Mario, next slide. Our mission is to provide all our students with the learning and supports they need to succeed in school and in life. And our vision is that all students will graduate prepared to transform our world. So everything we do is based on this district mission and vision. Next slide, please. So tonight we're going to be hearing from our elementary teaching and learning department. We'll explore the department's strategic direction as well as our programming and priorities. We will also be seeing how our priorities align to the district priorities and how this connects to the contract we'll be sharing tonight. When we get to this section of the presentation, we will pause and share the contract for the Hill for Literacy and the Connecticut Literacy Model. I have invited our partners from the Hill for Literacy to join me in presenting the contract. Our goal is to show the relationship and alignment between the work we're doing and the importance of our partnerships. We'll be presenting a lot of information tonight, and some of your questions may be answered during the presentation. So I would request saving your questions until after the presentation. But if you have any pressing questions during the presentations, please feel free to ask. At this time, I would now invite our elementary team, led by our director, Mario Carullo, and our assistant director, Amanda Kushner, to share on the state of our elementary school programming. Amanda, Mario.
Okay, good evening. So tonight's presentation is being facilitated by three people. Dr. Saki is our Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, who's overseeing the work across all elementary and secondary instruction. Myself, Dr. Mario Carullo, that's me, serves as Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning, and Mrs. Amanda Kushner is our Assistant Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning. We work directly under Dr. Saki, and we oversee the work of our curriculum specialists and our K-5 literacy and math coaches across the district. Our vision is that students engage in diverse learning experiences to discover their passions and pursue them with courage and excellence. This is how we operationalize the district vision, by giving every child access to learning that helps them discover who they are and what they can become. Our 4 core values define how we work. Courageous equity is our unwavering commitment to provide all students access to grade-level curriculum and excellent instruction in every classroom. It's identifying and dismantling barriers to success. It demands confronting uncomfortable truths, closing opportunity gaps, and acting on the fundamental belief that student outcomes are a reflection of our choices, and improving student outcomes is within our control. Relentless excellence is our continuous pursuit of best practices in curriculum and instruction. It's a journey of continuous improvement, not attained perfection. Boundless passion is the unstoppable fire within that drives us to overcome obstacles and achieve anything we set our minds to. And finally, connected community. Connected community forms the vital heartbeat of education, uniting students, families, teachers, and leaders in shared purpose and responsibility. And we hold six core beliefs about students, teachers, and the power of education. These beliefs drive our daily work in schools. We explored these beliefs at the October 1st Teaching and Learning Committee meeting. Today, I want to focus on 2. First, every classroom has future artists, scientists, writers, mathematicians, musicians, athletes, and innovators who are entitled to effective curriculum-aligned instruction in all disciplines to discover their passions and unlock their unique potential. Second, learning to read is a civil right. All students deserve our courageous and relentless commitment to implement effective structured literacy practices aligned to the science of reading.
Let me show you how our core values directly connect to the district's vision of preparing students to transform the world. For example, boundless passion. Students can't pursue world-changing work if they haven't discovered what they're passionate about. Boundless passion means we create the joyful, engaging learning experiences that help students discover who they are. Each of our core values is essential for bringing the district vision to life. Our core beliefs directly connect to our district's 4 priorities and how we deliver rigorous instruction. So when you look at these beliefs and these priorities, you see that our elementary department work isn't separate from district priorities. It's the primary way we achieve them. The Department of Elementary Teaching and Learning exists to bring the district's mission and vision to life in our elementary schools. Our vision, core values, and beliefs are not separate. They're how we operationalize those priorities. To bring this vision to life, we've developed a comprehensive elementary program. Let me show you what that looks like across all grades and content areas, and then we'll explain where we're focusing our most intensive improvement efforts this year.
We're going to start by looking at the student experience. So the Hartford Public Schools student day is 6 hours and 40 minutes, or 400 minutes. This table displays how these minutes are allocated in each grade K through 5. Every school follows our district scheduling guidance to develop their school-specific schedules. You'll see we have dedicated time for social-emotional learning, foundational reading skills, reading comprehension and writing, literacy lab, which is our intervention block, mathematics, science, unified arts, lunch, recess, and transitions. What you might not see is social studies. So I want to be clear that social studies topics are embedded in the reading comprehension and writing curriculum. Each Wit and Wisdom module is centered around a high interest topic in literature, history, science, or the arts. An example of this includes our grade 5 module 3, which is titled A War Between Us, which looks at how did the Civil War impact people. New for this school year, within the 25-26 science scope and sequence for grades 4 and 5, there also exists one opportunity for each grade to facilitate a social studies or civics focused unit of study in lieu of a science unit of study. Additionally, which we won't talk about on the further slides, is that kindergarten teachers are required to intentionally plan for play-based learning daily, and this occurs during their learning stations time. One thing that is common across all content areas is that we have district scope and sequences, which describe the what and the when. So all schools follow the district scope and sequence for each content area. Let me show you what this means. The scope and sequences demonstrate the standards targeted within the unit. Highlighted standards are considered focus standards. These are selected based on their prominence within a unit, their weight on the summative assessment, and data from the prior year's summative assessment. The scope and sequences communicate the time frame for the unit. For example, in the grade 3 reading comprehension and writing curriculum, Module 2 is intended to be taught November 10th through February 3rd. To assist teachers with planning, the scope and sequence captures the total number of instructional days for the unit, the number of days designated as instructional days based on the number of lessons within a unit, the number of days utilized for assessments, and the number of flex days. Flex days are used at the teacher's discretion, but are often used as opportunities to respond to learning by reviewing, reteaching, or extending lessons, or when instruction is missed due to field trips, in-class experiences, or school events. As an example, the grade 5 Eureka Math Squared scope and sequence includes 119 days for instruction, 119 lessons, 20 days for assessments, and 43 days designated as flex. That's 24% of the time allocated for mathematics is designated as flex time for teachers. As another example, the grade 3 reading comprehension and writing scope and sequence includes 127 lessons, 7 days for assessment, and 48 days designated as flex. That's 26% of the instructional time for reading comprehension and writing is flex time. The district scope and sequences communicate what to teach and when to teach it. As an FYI, the only schools that do not follow the district scope and sequences are the Montessori magnet schools, and that is due to their unique model and use of Montessori curriculum. And Dwight Belizzi Dual Language Academy uses a literacy program intended to support bilingualism. Another thing that's common across all content areas is our use of high quality instructional materials, HQIM. Current research in education emphasizes a fundamental shift from teachers creating lesson plans from various sources to adopting and internalizing high-quality instructional materials, or HQIM. Our district has invested in HQIM across all content areas, recognizing that these research-based, standards-aligned curricula provide the coherent instructional foundation students need for academic success. This shift in educational practice requires a corresponding shift in school-level conditions to ensure teachers have the dedicated time and support necessary to deeply internalize curricular materials, understand their pedagogical design, and implement them with integrity, rather than supplementing or replacing them with teacher-created resources. Let me define what we mean by high-quality instructional materials. HQIM are instructional materials that meet these essential criteria. Number 1, standards alignment. Materials directly teach what our state standards require at the right level of difficulty. Number 2, content and instructional design. The lessons are well structured with clear learning targets organized in a logical sequence. Number 3, teacher support. Materials include detailed lesson guides, pacing calendars, background knowledge for teachers, and guidance on how to address common student misconceptions. Number 4, student supports and accessibility. Built-in scaffolds for English learners, students with disabilities, and students working below grade level. And lastly, assessment and data tools. Materials include formative assessments, checks during learning, and summative assessments that align to the standards, plus ways to track student progress and adjust instruction based on what students know. Now, why does Hartford use HQIM? First, equity and access. All students deserve the same high-quality learning experiences regardless of their background or starting point. When we use HQIM, we ensure every student in every elementary school receives grade-level rigorous instruction aligned to standards. Teacher empowerment and focus. HQIM frees teachers from having to cobble together materials from multiple sources and spend hours creating lessons from scratch. Instead, they can focus on what they do best: understanding their students' needs, providing responsive instruction, and giving meaningful feedback. Consistent, coherent learning. When we use the same high-quality materials, students experience a coherent curriculum where skills build systematically from lesson to lesson and grade to grade. And lastly, the research shows that quality materials directly improve student learning outcomes. But I also want to be clear about what HQIM is not. It's not about control. It's about support. The purpose of high-quality instructional materials is not to diminish the teacher's role, but to enhance it. Research indicates that while teacher quality is critical for student achievement, the choice of instructional materials has a similarly significant impact. High-quality instructional materials free up time so teachers can focus on responsive, adaptive instruction, which is the most intellectually demanding and professionally satisfying part of teaching. Even the best materials require skilled implementation. Our professional development, coaching, and collaborative planning all support teachers in making smart decisions about how to use these materials with their unique students. A critical factor in successful high-quality instructional materials use is the school environment, specifically the degree to which other factors reinforce teachers' usage of new materials. If implementation feels rigid or prescribed, that's a leadership and support issue, not a materials issue. Our role as instructional leaders is to ensure teachers understand why we're using these materials and feel trusted to use them thoughtfully. In addition to using high-quality instructional materials evaluated by EdReports, we also use literacy materials that have been specifically approved by the Connecticut State Department of Education. This provides 2 layers of rigorous vetting. Our K-3 reading curriculum has been evaluated against Connecticut's comprehensive high-quality instructional materials standards and meets state expectations. We also have many home learning resources available across all of our curriculum. Many of these come directly from our high-quality instructional materials use. Some examples include, we have family guides. Family guides help families understand what children should know and be able to do, grade by grade, in math and literacy. These guides provide information on the most important things students should be learning and how to reinforce learning with everyday activities. For mathematics, we have practice partners. Practice partners take students and families through the thinking of a hypothetical partner solving problems similar to those found in additional practice. We often hear, "I didn't learn it this way." The practice partners help families understand how the math was taught. All of these resources are available on our district website, and they're available in multiple languages to support our multilingual families. The next thing that I want to look at is how our assessment calendar is built. So this is also common across all of our content areas. On the right are all assessments utilized in K-5. The link here will bring you to this document. That's this link here. Different assessments serve different purposes. There are screeners, diagnostics, benchmark, formative, and summative assessments. While this may seem overwhelming, the scope and sequences are intentionally designed to ensure students are not being assessed in multiple content areas at the same time. If we look at what assessments students experience in November in grade 4, we see that they have 1 science assessment, 1 math assessment, and 2 ELA assessments throughout the entire month of November.
Because literacy is such a critical focus, I want to dig deeper into these instructional blocks. First, let me show you Scarborough's Rope, which is a theoretical framework designed to support families in understanding all the components that support developing a skilled reader. Beginning with the word recognition strand that supports us in learning to decode or sound out words, we are using both Fundations and Heggerty high-quality instructional materials to build phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, decoding, and sight recognition of familiar words. Connected Text provides practice of the Tier 1 skill taught within Fundations. It provides application time for students to build their fluency with connected texts, ensuring they are reading with accuracy and automaticity. The primary texts are Geodes and Fundations readers. To support students with reading accuracy, we utilize the Hill for Literacy decodable routine. To support students with reading fluency, we utilize the Hill for Literacy fluency routine. Within Wit and Wisdom, students are practicing their language comprehension through a knowledge-building curricula. Students read and write about texts, engage in discussions with peers. Wit and Wisdom is the place where students first encounter complex texts that build to expand our students' vocabulary and engage in lessons to support the Common Core reading, writing, language, and speaking and listening standards. Students are becoming increasingly strategic as they move through content and craft stages within daily instructional lessons. Geodes and Fundations readers are most effective when used in concert with Fundations and Wit and Wisdom. Geodes were designed to align to both programs. The scope and sequence of Fundations was used to create the Geodes. The topics within the Geodes also directly align to the topics taught in Wit and Wisdom. Use of the Geodes provides practice in connected text, linking explicit phonics instruction, and also expanding students' content knowledge, vocabulary, and comprehension on the topics taught within Wit and Wisdom. We know students can access more complex text when they go deeper in a topic. Fundations readers are highly decodable texts that also align to the Fundation scope and sequence with an even greater decodability. Use of both Geodes and Fundations readers provide our students practice to become strategic and automatic, ultimately building skilled readers. Now, let me talk about Literacy Lab, which is our Tier 2 intervention block. And I need to be very clear about what we're doing here because this directly connects to the Hill for Literacy partnership we're asking you to approve today. There are many approaches to intervention, Tier 2. There's compelling research for each approach, and each has its pros and cons. However, in the field of literacy, it's broadly accepted that data-driven small group instruction is the most effective approach. We are building the district literacy plan, utilizing data-driven small group instruction as our approach to intervention in kindergarten through grade 3. First, let me explain why this approach is best. First, it's responsive to actual student need. Intervention curricula like Fun and Focus and personalized digital pathways like Lexia or iReady are designed around predetermined sequences and algorithms. Data-driven small group instruction lets you continuously assess what specific gaps each student has and adjust instruction immediately based on what they're actually struggling with, not what a program sequence is dictating. Second, cost and sustainability. While programs such as Lexia and iReady require ongoing licenses, data-driven small group instruction leverages your existing teacher expertise and assessment tools. This creates a more sustainable model that doesn't depend on maintaining expensive subscriptions and can be adapted as our literacy priorities evolve. This approach, responsive, data-driven, model-based instruction, is exactly what our students need. Now, let me be honest about what we faced. Previous intervention approaches, selecting digital personalized pathways like Lexia or using structured intervention curricula like Fun and Focus, represent reasonable responses to an urgent need. Our students required intervention, and we wanted to ensure that intervention time was purposeful and well designed. However, these approaches, while well-intentioned, functioned as a workaround rather than a comprehensive solution. They allowed us to address the immediate need for intervention without the infrastructure, the common structures, consistent routines, and professional learning required to support teachers in implementing data-driven small group instruction effectively. In essence, we were choosing programs to compensate for capacity we hadn't yet built. We're taking a different approach now, investing in the foundational conditions that enable teachers to make responsive, evidence-based instructional decisions. This represents a shift from managing the problem to build sustainable capacity to solve it. To maximize opportunities for teacher-directed, data-informed, small group instruction during connected text and literacy labs, schools can stagger these blocks so that resource teachers, TESOL teachers, bilingual resource teachers, and special education teachers can also facilitate data-informed small group instruction during this time. We've built this infrastructure, we have the schedule, we have the materials, we have the assessment systems. With the Hill for Literacy partnership, we have a model-based approach that allows teachers to use assessment data to design targeted lessons that address each student's specific gaps and utilize repeated routines so students can focus on learning the skill. The Hill for Literacy's implementation support helps teachers develop the expertise to do this well. We're not purchasing a program, we're building teacher capacity to make informed, responsive instructional decisions.
Now, while Amanda and I can absolutely continue to talk about math and literacy, I want to shift our attention to unified arts. So we are intentionally building our unified arts curriculum to ensure every student receives excellent instruction in art, music, and physical education. And we include computer education in our unified arts offerings. The recommended times for grades K to 5 are 90 minutes weekly for physical education, 45 minutes weekly for music, 45 minutes weekly for visual art, and 45 minutes weekly for computer education. This structure aligns with Section 1016B of the Connecticut General Statutes, which mandates that public schools provide instruction in the arts, defined as visual or performing arts, including but not limited to dance, music, art, and theater, as well as physical, mental, and emotional health. Last year, we focused on art, and we now have a K-5 common art curriculum in place. When we observed unified arts classes across the district last year, we found significant variation in what students were experiencing. From meaningful, objective-driven lessons with explicit instruction in elements of art to time that lacked clear instructional purpose. We recognized that without intentional instruction in these content areas, we were limiting students' opportunities to discover passions, develop foundational skills, and build the background knowledge, vocabulary, and cross-curricular connections that unified arts can provide. Our physical education curriculum continues to be refined. However, our most pressing gap is in elementary music. Last year, we began a comprehensive music curriculum review process. That work was paused when we eliminated the unified arts coaching position that provided critical support to our unified arts specialist. Resuming and completing the music curriculum review is a priority as we continue building comprehensive, intentional instruction across all unified arts areas. Currently, not all students have access to visual and performing arts or computer education. We are continuing to work towards this as we develop the Hartford Public Schools elementary program. A quick note about theme content. Integrating theme content, for example, daily science in K3, consequently results in other recommended content being omitted. School leaders must identify opportune times for such content to occur with consideration of the opportunities and challenges posed with additional content integrated. School leaders will continuously make decisions for their schools in consideration of district guidance, their unique strengths and challenges within schools, and annual school priorities. Continuously monitoring and responding to the impact of such decisions is at the heart of the continuous improvement process. While the frequency and duration of theme content will vary between sites, we've outlined a few simple opportunities to integrate theme content twice weekly for 30 minutes in various configurations depending on grade level. The key point is that schools have flexibility, but it must be intentional and data informed. We are also attentive of the diverse learning experiences our students experience, both in and out of the classroom. So what you're looking at here are all of the themes that fall within our Wit and Wisdom curriculum. The Department of Elementary Teaching and Learning is leveraging partnerships with community organizations to provide our students with meaningful off-site learning experiences that enrich our core curriculum. These experiences serve multiple purposes. They build the background knowledge and vocabulary essential for reading comprehension, provide diverse learning experiences that help students discover their passions, and create the joyful, engaging experiences that define excellent elementary education. We view these experiences as a critical part of the elementary program. These partnerships ensure that all grades 3 to 5 students have guaranteed field trip experiences. The Wadsworth Atheneum Museum of Art for grade 3, the Discovery Concert Series at the Bushnell Center for grade 4, and the Inheriting Freedom Tour at the Harriet Beecher Stowe Center for grade 5. These are all fully funded through community partner grants and aligned to our Wit and Wisdom literacy curriculum. By doing this ensures equitable access regardless of which school students attend, and it allows us to offer experiences in theater, museum exhibitions, concerts, interactive science learning that deepen content knowledge, build vocabulary, inspire discovery of passion, and make school more joyful. Today, we had about 1,200 grade 4 students at the Bushnell for the I'm a Survivor performance, Hartford Symphony Orchestra performance. Hartford Symphony Orchestra developed this performance specifically for the Hartford Public Schools to enrich our extreme settings unit and included direct quotes from our texts that our students are reading. We are continuing to build and expand these experiences for our students. However, Hartford Public Schools must cover the cost for transportation for these experiences, which is approximately $8,000 per experience, per grade level experience. In addition to off-site field trips, Hartford Performs delivers curriculum-aligned, arts-integrated programming directly to our schools. New this year, we aligned Hartford Performs teaching artists programs to specific Wit and Wisdom modules, enabling teachers to intentionally select programs that enrich and deepen the content students are studying rather than randomly selecting programs based on student interest alone.
Now let me shift to our 3 focused priorities for this year. This is where we're going to zoom in. Before I walk you through our 3 priorities, I want to explain 2 things. First, the strategic thinking behind why these priorities focus on instructional practices and teacher actions. And second, why we're focusing on just 3 priorities when we know there are many areas where we need to see improvement. Here's our theory of action. First, we all share the same goal, improving student achievement. This year, we're hyper-focused on improving student achievement in literacy, specifically increasing the percentage of students at or above benchmark in foundational reading skills as measured by DIBELS and English Language Arts as measured by SBAC. And I know that when you look at our current data, 35% of first graders or 36% of second graders at benchmark, you're thinking we need to improve everything and we need to improve it now. You're right. But strategic discipline requires focus. Second, to achieve that goal, we have to change student learning. That means either what students are learning, ensuring they're accessing grade level standards, or how students are engaging in learning, the quality and type of learning they're engaging in. But here's the key insight. Students don't change what they're learning or how they're learning on their own. The lever we influence, the mechanism through which we improve student outcomes is instruction. We have to change teacher actions and instructional practice. And this is where the strategic discipline comes in. That's why we have 3 focused priorities, not 10 or 15. Here's why. Changing instructional practice is hard work. It's not about telling teachers what to do. It's about building new knowledge, developing new skills, unlearning old habits, and building new muscle memory. That requires intensive, ongoing support. Changing instructional practice is hard work. It's not just about learning new practices. It often requires unlearning approaches that teachers have relied on for years. This multi-year approach acknowledges that real change takes time, support, and patience. So yes, we have many areas that need improvement, but we're taking a multi-year improvement approach. This is year 2 of our literacy transformation work. These 3 priorities aren't arbitrary. They were selected because our data analysis, looking at assessment results, implementation fidelity indicators, and classroom observation patterns told us these are the highest leverage changes we can make. Now, let's look at our 3 priorities. First, monitor and respond to learning in all content areas. We will use assessment data and curriculum resources strategically across all content areas to monitor student learning and proactively plan scaffolds and supports that enable productive struggle with grade level content. Second, implementation integrity in foundational reading skills. We, K3, will implement foundations with fidelity while continuously monitoring and responding to student learning throughout instruction and providing opportunities for students to apply skills to connected texts. That's the foundations, readers, and geodes that we spoke about earlier. Supporting striving readers, Literacy Lab in Tier 2. We, K3, will use assessment data to facilitate targeted small group instruction that addresses individual student reading needs and accelerates progress toward grade level foundational reading skills. We, 4-5, will implement Just Words with fidelity while continuously monitoring and responding to student learning throughout instruction. Some of the shifts that our department has made this year to support these priorities include connected text added to explicitly provide opportunities for students to practice phonics in that decodable text, monitor and supporting the use of Foundations unit tests to develop Foundations reteaching lesson plans, and our partnership with the Connecticut Literacy Model, CTLM, to support implementing small group evidence-based intervention that supplements core instruction for students at risk or experiencing reading difficulties in 10 schools. Previously, we mentioned the ELA interim assessments. If we want teachers to use assessment data strategically to monitor student learning and proactively plan scaffolds and supports, then the assessment must connect to the curriculum resources. By curating ELA interims, we are able to align the district curriculum and account for background knowledge while assessing reading comprehension. Now, let me explain how we support these priorities. Monthly School Leader Professional Learning. The intent of school leaders' professional learning is to build their capacity as instructional leaders to lead this work at their schools. With the continued decrease in instructional coaches, the school leader's role in leading academics is increasingly important. Understanding that they might not have deep literacy knowledge, our professional learning equips them to engage in the work with teachers. For example, at the October 21st Professional Development to support leaders with supporting teachers in creating purposeful reteaching lesson plans that target misconceptions, we explored coaching prompts that can be used with teachers. Do students need to focus on decoding or encoding activities in the reteaching lessons? What student learning evidence helped you to determine if the focus should be decoding, encoding, or both? Why did you choose these words for reading? What trouble spots were you targeting in this activity? Other ways we support principals with applying their learning is through scenario discussions. Our approach to teacher professional learning has 3 components, and they work together. First, district-based professional learning. We offer 3 full-day workshops throughout the year in August, November, and February. These sessions are standards-aligned, priority-focused, and designed to build foundational knowledge across all grade levels and content areas. Teachers engage in curriculum internalization, practice instructional routines, and develop common understandings about how to implement our high-quality materials with fidelity and integrity. These workshops ensure every teacher across the district has access to the same high-quality professional learning regardless of school or grade level. Second, weekly grade level PLCs. Every week, teachers meet in grade level teams for collaborative planning and learning. We provide priority aligned protocols that guide the work, whether that's analyzing data, planning curriculum, reflecting on implementation, or deepening content knowledge. Importantly, school leaders have flexibility. You select which protocols best serve your school improvement focus. This means the work is both guided and responsive to unique school context. Third, classroom-based coaching. We have district-level literacy and math coaches who provide on-site professional learning in quarterly focused schools. This is where teachers get the individualized job-embedded support that actually changes practice. Coaches observe classrooms, provide feedback using research-based coaching models, and help teachers develop the expertise to implement curriculum with real skill and confidence. We're also bringing in Great Minds Wit and Wisdom coaches to support our second-year implementation of reading comprehension and writing curriculum. The key point, these 3 pathways aren't separate, they're connected. District professional learning provides the foundation. Weekly PLCs keep the work moving forward and responsive to what teachers are learning, and coaching provides the intensive, individualized support that translates learning into classroom practice. This layered approach District learning, collaborative planning, and individual coaching is exactly what research tells us teachers need to truly internalize new practice and change their instruction. We're investing in teachers because we know that teacher quality and teacher learning directly impact student outcomes.
Now let me show you where we are with Priority 3, supporting striving readers, and why this partnership is the strategic next step. First, let's acknowledge what we've already accomplished. Over the past 2 years, we've built critical infrastructure, such as schedules to allow targeted small group instruction, instructional materials, and assessment systems. But here's the reality we're facing, what I'm calling the implementation gap. Right now, approximately 60 to 65% of our K-3 students, that's roughly 3,000 students, are below benchmark on DIBELS. They need Tier 2 interventions. We have the time in the schedule, we have the materials, but when we talk to teachers and when we observe in the classrooms, we're hearing and seeing the same challenge consistently. Teachers need support implementing these new systems effectively. Now let's talk about capacity. We have 2 district literacy coaches. They support 24 elementary schools, approximately 600 K-3 teachers. Even if they did nothing but literacy lab coaching, which they can't because they also support Foundations implementation, Wit and Wisdom, and assessment systems, that's a 1 to 300 coach to teacher ratio. We are nowhere close to the capacity we need to provide the intensive, job-embedded implementation support that actually changes practice. So what do we need? We are building the Hartford Literacy Plan, grounded in and modeled after the Connecticut Literacy Model. We are in active partnership with the Connecticut Literacy Model through Hill for Literacy. Much of this work has already begun. Principal meetings have started, teachers are using DIBELS data to form groups, and we've already completed 2 data meeting cycles. However, the intensive implementation support provided through this contract is essential to accelerate our progress and ensure we build the model with fidelity. This partnership provides 3 critical things we cannot currently provide at scale. 1, intensive implementation support. Classroom-based coaching uses the model observe feedback cycle. Additionally, support with data-driven grouping and planning and helping differentiating lesson plans in real time. This is the how do I actually do this support that teachers need. 2, multi-level capacity building. This isn't just coaching teachers. This is developing leadership at multiple levels. Principal instructional leadership, school literacy lead training, teacher professional learning. In year 1, 10 schools receive intensive support. In year 2, those 10 schools become models, while a new cohort receives intensive support. Year 3, we have internal capacity that sustains the model without the same level of external support. This is strategic capacity building, not perpetual dependency. And 3, building sustainable systems. This is about assessment systems, data protocols, lesson planning structures, all the infrastructure that becomes part of how a school operates permanently. The bottom line, we've built the foundation, the schedule, the materials, the assessments, the planning tools, but infrastructure alone doesn't improve outcomes. We need intensive implementation support to turn that infrastructure into impact for 3,000 striving readers. That's what this partnership provides.
Well, thank you, Mario and Amanda, for your detailed and in-depth presentation. At this time, I will speak a little bit about why we selected the Hill for Literacy for this particular partnership. We selected the Hill for Literacy because they are one of the official partners for of the state of Connecticut and the Connecticut Literacy Model. And this also allowed us to access some of the state funding for our partnership with the Hill. Another major reason for selecting the Hill were the proven results that they've had in Connecticut in various districts, including districts similar to us, such as Bridgeport. And we'll give you more specific information about this impact later in the presentation. Also, the state is paying for half of this partnership. The state is allocating about $119,250 towards this partnership, and we will be requesting an additional $114,720. Next slide, please. So for the sake of time, I am going to try and go through this fairly quickly so that you have some time for questions at the end. I want to just show some of the alignment between this contract request and our strategic priorities. So when considering the whole and healthy students, the Hill for Literacy addresses learning barriers by providing a multi-tiered system of support. as well as targeted intervention for English language learners, students with disabilities, and economically disadvantaged students. The Hill also fosters inclusive school and classroom environments by emphasizing culturally responsive, evidence-based literacy instruction. It also helps create safe, inclusive, and welcoming classrooms that promote student engagement and well-being. In regard to the whole and healthy students, the Hill strengthens family partnerships by collaborating with families through family literacy sessions, as well as at-home resources. When we talk about expansive learning opportunity, the Hill assists our teachers in planning and delivering rigorous standards-aligned instruction by ensuring that all students receive high-quality research-based instruction. The Hill helps teachers and administrators focus on systematic data analysis, tiered interventions, and a focus on historically underserved students in order to help our staff close the achievement gap. By working with staff to strengthen students' foundational literacy skills, the Hill helps our staff prepare students for success in advanced coursework and enrichment. When looking at the alignment to skilled and diverse teams, the Hill focuses on providing ongoing, robust professional development support, as well as support with fidelity of implementation. This is directly aligned with Objective B, which is to provide differentiated professional learning for our staff. The Hill works on developing teacher and admin capacity. We meet monthly currently with school admin teams, as well as the building literacy leads to help build literacy leadership capacity within our schools and our district. We will also be meeting monthly as a district literacy leadership team to help improve reading district-wide. Also, by focusing on ongoing teacher support, we are more likely to retain our teachers. Finally, the alignment to operational and managerial excellence is also apparent. The Hill helps to strengthen data-driven decision-making by systematically assessing students and reviewing the data regularly to inform groupings and instruction. We also leveraged $119,250 in state funding for this partnership. Now that we have seen the alignment and prior to bringing on our partners, I would like to give some context. And I think Mario shared some of this earlier. This is the first year of a multi-year plan. This year focuses on our cohort 1 schools, and the next year will focus on the 13 cohort 2 schools. Our work with the Hill for Literacy is a collaboration between the Connecticut State Department of Education, the Hill for Literacy, and the Hartford Public Schools. The Connecticut Literacy Model is a multi-year plan that will help improve reading and instruction in the district. The first year, like I said, involves 10 schools, with the remaining 13 schools joining next school year. The work has already begun with the funding from the state, and we have been holding various meetings with principals, teacher leaders, and district staff, as well as professional learning opportunities for teachers. What we'll be requesting is funding for implementation facilitators who will be working with our school teams to improve instruction and implementation at the building level. At this time, I would like to invite 2 of our partners from the Hill for Literacy, Jenna Gamble and Stephanie Gonzalez, to share some background information and data from the work they have been doing in our district as well as other districts. Stephanie and Jenna.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Stephanie Gonzalez, Director of State Partnerships at Hill for Literacy. So the Connecticut Literacy Model Partnership includes representation from our state legislature, the State Department of Education, the University of Connecticut, and partnering organizations like Literacy How and us at Hill for Literacy. And we are the partners who provide the direct support to districts in the project goal areas of leadership, assessment, tiered instruction, professional learning, and family engagement. And these 5 goal areas comprise a strong MTSS model, like the Connecticut Literacy Model, which is used to inform the Hartford Literacy Plan. And we know this from the decade plus that we've been implementing this model across Connecticut districts and schools, that the whole really is greater than the sum of its parts. Next slide, please. So what began as a pilot with just 4 schools in 4 districts back in 2013 led to the evaluation and ultimately the codification of what we now call the Connecticut Literacy Model. And Connecticut has implemented this model in over 100 districts in our state with varying degrees of support. Some have received leadership and science of reading professional development to install and implement district-specific models based on CTLM kind of on their own, while others like Hartford have been positioned to partner in a more intensive manner and with accompanying fiscal support from SDE. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, we have been evaluating this model over the last decade. Dr. Michael Coyne and colleagues at UConn did the evaluation and have published on this model over the years. The data that you're seeing here shows the incremental effect of this multi-year planning and implementation of the model on student reading outcomes. So when districts employ the whole model as intended, they really do reap the benefits of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. We see students across grade levels increasing their early reading proficiency in measures known as DIBELS. This is a measure that Hartford uses, as our colleagues mentioned earlier. And after just 1 year of comprehensive and coordinated support, we saw an admirable effect size of 0.32, and then after the second year of implementation support, an even more robust size of 0.51. So we know the model works, and I'm going to turn this now over to my colleague Jenna, who leads the Hartford Partnership, to talk through the specifics of the Hartford Literacy Plan.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Stephanie. So as we take a look at the next slide, and as Stephanie mentioned, I'm the lead facilitator, and I've had the pleasure of working with the Teaching and Learning Department, and they really have done a phenomenal job setting up so much infrastructure. So as we look at this overview graphic that extends that work, this is the multi-tiered system of support in the Connecticut literacy model, and this overviews the structures that will support this work. So for leadership, districts in the Connecticut literacy model utilize a distributed leadership and team approach that has a shared vision and set of goals. So this includes district literacy leadership meetings, principal meetings, admin meetings, and also literacy lead meetings. And this distributed leadership helps support the work. In assessment, we have a consistent meeting structure to drive that database decision making. As Mario mentioned, we've had 2 of our 5 meetings already this year, and this is where we assign an instructional focus and progress monitoring plans for students who need it. And then we focus on using the instructional focus and the data to inform our groups, analyze response to instruction, and action plan to improve that response to instruction. In our professional learning, teachers have already engaged in our small group lesson plan training, as well as some in-person professional learning. And here, professionals are learning how to utilize the foundational skills lesson plan during that literacy lab block, which you heard about earlier. And this is designed to connect and extend Foundation's whole group instruction. So it's really extending the work rather than being something different. For tiered instruction, this is where we plan to support practitioners in implementing the foundational skills lesson plans and that quality tier 1 instruction, which is such a critical component to the success of the initiative. So looking at our next slide, what we have done is we've already begun to implement almost all of the structures I just described with extremely positive feedback thus far. So just quickly, 93% of participants in our recent professional learnings have either agreed or strongly agreed that they understand how the presentation will support them as educators in improving student literacy outcomes. And we know how important it is that if we are taking the time to put our teachers and educators in professional learning, like we want it to be impactful and we want teachers to understand the impact. And on the left, you'll see some quotes taken from our most recent session a couple of weeks ago highlighting this. So to give you a second to look at that. All right. So just two other things I wanted to quickly just review, and I know we want to have time for questions. We briefly just want to share some impact data from our partnership with Bridgeport Public Schools, who we also partner with as part of the CTLM, Connecticut Literacy Model, with the same multi-tiered systems of support structures that we just described today. So in this example from a school in Bridgeport, you'll see that between fall 2021 and spring 2022, the percentage of first graders meeting or exceeding the end of year goal on phoneme segmentation fluency, which is a critical measure for foundational reading, more than doubled. Then we see in spring 2023, 95% of first graders met that phonemic awareness goal at end of year, which is double the amount from the fall of 2022. And you'll see that there are no students in the well below category, really showing the impact of the literacy model structures. And then I'll share one more example. This is a district example. And in this district example, we also saw gains across school years, showing the power of this work over time as a district. So on the graph on the left, what you'll see here is that the percentage of students meeting the grade level goal for oral reading fluency accuracy, so reading accurately in connected text, it increased from 19% in the fall of their grade 1 year. And then following those students to spring in grade 2, it increased to 57%. This really showing significant growth in students' ability to accurately read grade level text, right? And then on the slide on the right, the percentage of students in the district meeting or exceeding the grade level goal in phoneme segmentation fluency, as I mentioned earlier, increased from 9% in the fall of kindergarten to 67% in the spring when those same students were in first grade. So we just really wanted to show some of the impacts of this work. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to the Hartford team.
Thank you, Jen and Stephanie, for the detailed information that you shared. That's greatly appreciated. I know that this is a lot of information in a very short amount of time, but I would now like to transition to our specific contract we'll be discussing tonight for the Hill. I won't read through the objectives to you, but I will summarize. The following are the objectives of this contract: to build sustainable internal coaching by gradually transferring expertise to school literacy leaders as well as classroom teachers, to deliver individualized classroom support through the model observe feedback cycle and 6 visits at each of our 10 schools, to enhance data-driven instruction with systematic assessment and grade level meetings, build principal instructional leadership via monthly support meetings, to promote collaboration through district and school literacy leadership team meetings. And then regarding our deliverables, we'll be getting 60 visits, which will be 6 per school, as well as monthly principal and literacy lead meetings in order to build capacity and develop our leaders. There will also be 5 grade level data meeting cycles per year, asynchronous professional learning for teachers, assessment training and implementation support, and foundational skills lesson plan support. We are requesting $114,720 from our Alliance grant to cover the cost. This contract will be from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. This contract is being brought to you by the Teaching and Learning Department and is aligned with all 4 of our district priorities. Next slide, please. The following will be what the 10 schools in cohort 1 will be receiving: 6 visits per school during the course of the year. Like I said, the model observe feedback cycle, foundational skills lesson plan implementation, and tier 1 instruction improvement. There'll be professional learning that will also be available for our teachers, which is asynchronous foundational skills course, as well as assessment training and Hill instructional routines. In addition to this, each month, there'll be monthly principal, school literacy lead, and district literacy leadership meetings. I had mentioned previously the 5 data meetings a year. The focus of these meetings will be to assign an instructional focus, form data-driven literacy groups, analyze students' response to instruction, and create an action plan for improvement. Next slide, please. So we will assess how effective our partnership and support is by setting goals based on the DIBELS, and we're going to look at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year assessment. We will also look at the implementation of the curriculum with fidelity and the level of engagement of our school and district leadership. Next slide, please. So before we end, I would like to address some key questions you may have, or some questions that normally come up. And I will go over those quickly before I invite the team in questions. Question 1, why can't we do this ourselves? We are doing the foundational work, curriculum, schedule structures, assessment systems. So we're putting all of the structures in place. But what the Hill does is they provide the intensive implementation support, and our 2 coaches that we currently have for literacy cannot deliver to our 600 plus teachers. So this is a strategic capacity building process that would, as opposed to outsourcing our responsibilities. How do we know this works? Like I said, we're going to look at different ways of assessing how our students are progressing. So our rigorous UConn research showing effect size, so that's the data that Jenna had presented. State designation as one of the official CT literacy model partners. So this is, the Hill is one of the organizations that the state is in partnership with the state. And then demonstrated results from similar districts to ours, such as Bridgeport. What happens when contract ends? So, like I said, the whole idea of, this is a phased model. The whole idea is to build capacity within our own staff so that, by year 2, the year 1 schools become models, while new schools receive intensive support. By year 3, school-based literacy leads can sustain the model independently. So, we're building the capacity of our school literacy leads, as well as our staff, so that, the capacity can be sustained. And then is this the best use of 114,000? So again, the context of it, we have 10 schools receiving this report, approximately 200 teachers, approximately 3,000 K-3 students for a full year. If we were to hire, 1.5 literacy coaches, this would not cover, this won't cover the amount of ground that we're able to cover using this approach. And then why this vendor specifically? Like I said, the Hill for Literacy is one of Connecticut's designated partners for the Connecticut Literacy Model. They have a proven track record of what works. They have shown improvement in districts similar to ours, and that's why we landed with the Hill for Literacy. So I'll now invite the team back, and I'll open the floor up for questions.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you well.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. That was a great amount of information. I do have a couple of questions before I invite my fellow board members to ask questions. The first question is, my understanding is that there were four different schools in 4 different parts, 4 different districts, or 4 different parts of Hartford that were that participated in this back in, was it 2013, you said?
Yes,
Yes.
there were 4 schools across 4 districts, across Connecticut, actually. They were in 4 different districts.
Okay, do you have the names of those schools?
One of them was Burns Academy, actually. I know that one. And then I'd have to go back and look up what the other 3 were. I don't recall.
Okay. Thank you. If we can get that information, please. And also, what are the 10 schools? Do you have the names of the 10 schools?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
That would be Burns Latino, Capital Prep, Environmental Science, Expeditionary Learning, Global Communications, Kennelly, Naylor, Parkville, Rawson, and Webster Micro Society.
Thank you. And how did you come up with these? How did you decide on these schools, these particular schools?
I think in collaboration with our executive directors, we looked at all of our schools, and in collaboration with our executive directors, we landed on these 10 schools for support. Mario, Amanda, anything else to add in terms of the school choice?
No, I think the only thing that's just worth adding is I think the executive directors also took into consideration other partnerships that exist. So none of the schools that are participating in cohort 1 are partnered with Attuned right now, and none of them are partnered with Relay. So they were also considerate of just the partners that the schools are working with.
Thank you. And one thing that I'd like to suggest, if you will, or perhaps maybe you have an answer. It might not be necessarily be a question, but with regards to the family component, the at-home component, where families can help support the students, I'm thinking about students who go to, whether it's an after-school program or they go to, other caregivers before they go home. So sometimes, depending on where, what the socioeconomic status is, depending on what family life may look like, this home component of the curriculum may not necessarily work for a particular type of family dynamic. So I'm wondering and hoping that perhaps you can think about this and provide some type of professional learning for families and caregivers, if you will. So,
and
I
yes,
just wanted to...
and thank you for that, Chair Durst Leisure. And I think in collaboration with Janelle Hooker and her team, we do try as best we can to hold sessions. I'll say earlier in the year, we did hold some sessions specific to families based on what you just shared. We can hold specific sessions for the families of these 10 specific schools to sort of like build the parent capacity in terms of how they can utilize some of the resources that are available at home. So yes, that is definitely something we can explore.
Thank you so much. And for the sake of time, I'm going to defer the rest of my questions to, later on. I do see Board Chair Brody has her hand up. Board Chair Brody.
Thank you. Have we collected any data that could help us with our families pertaining to those kindergartners that we test, and we get those results back? Because a 9% coming in is concerning to me, and I know these typically aren't students that we have prior to kindergarten sometimes, but are we learning from that data as to what the children come missing? Because I do work in the community, and I would like to know those things. So if it's any data that's gathered that would help not just myself, but other organizations that are working with the birth to 4 population, so we can prepare them better for what you're seeing in K when you're doing this testing? That's just my first question.
Mario or Amanda, any thoughts on that? You know.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I know that one of the things right now, so we are in year 2 of our new central office model, and I know that last year one of the commitments that we made was that we needed to do a better job partnering with our Department of the pre-K essentially. So our lead teacher for pre-K, and so I think this is kind of connected to that, is just doing a better job at how we are aligning and working together with those even within the district that are responsible for our pre-K programming to make sure that the students are then coming prepared to kindergarten. And I think that the question that you raised is a good push for us to extend that to not only within our pre-K programming, but also within the community, the other organizations that work with birth to 4-year-olds. So I don't think it's something that we have explored deeply yet, or that we have information on right now, at least I'm not aware of. But I think that's a really great push to push our work.
And you know, and oh, go ahead, Amanda.
I was just going to add that at the end of our beginning of year testing on DIBELS, which is our foundational reading skills assessment, DIBELS does create a profile for each student that talks about how students performed on the assessment, and our department does print all of those reports and provide them directly to school so that families are receiving information on how their child performed on the beginning of year DIBELS assessment. But I also love the push to look at how we can share holistically with the community at large trends that we're seeing in areas of need. And then a few years ago, we did work comprehensively on developing like a series of programs to support families on literacy development. Stephanie actually presented to our families a couple of years ago as we were building knowledge on foundational reading components, looking at what phonemic awareness means and activities that you can do at home to support phonemic awareness. And I think there's great opportunity to revisit some of that work as well.
And yeah, and just to add to that, you know, Lori Minnick is the director of pre-K, who is also part of our department. So I'll say like further collaboration, and you know, and this is for Mario and Amanda, how we can collaborate more with Lori to do more of what Board Chair Bodie was just sharing. How do we get the data? How do we better support parents as well as teachers in terms of utilizing that data to support students?
And my thank you all so much for those responses. And my second question is around do we still use a measure of like the reading assessment? Is one of the measurements still connecting like to the text? Like if there's a story about a dog, when a student, like the individual students are being assessed and the student just does not mention that they have a dog, like connecting to the text, is that still used as an assessment measurement?
That is no longer included. I know former F&P testing, when we were using guided reading, did at times ask for connections, but we have shifted following the state right to read legislation. We have shifted our assessments using DIBELS as our primary K-3 measure, and DIBELS does look at all of the components within early literacy skills such as phonemic awareness, phonics and decoding, comprehension, vocabulary, but there is that specific question is no longer utilized, and that is an older assessment practice that we had used.
Okay. Glad to hear that. Thank you very much.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much for those questions. I have, and I know that it's now 6:36, and trying to see if there are other hands up. I don't see any other hands up. However, I do have one quick question, like a follow-up, if you will, to Board Chair Bodie's question with regards to connections. since DIBELS does not, you know, in the early years, early grades, does not really deal with comprehension. I know there are, you know, the nonsense words, if you will. How do you assess that? Or what are you doing to make sure that there is comprehension?
Great question. So within Wit and Wisdom, students have the opportunity to engage in multiple assessment opportunities to look at their language comprehension skills. Students in lower grades participate, well, in kindergarten through 5th grade, participate in Socratic seminars where they have the opportunity to practice speaking and listening skills, answering comprehension questions. Students have throughout each of the 3 or 4 modules in Wit and Wisdom, depending on the grade level, students are answering questions in written form about the text that they have been engaging and learning with. And so we're using our core Tier 1 reading and writing comprehension curriculum to assess students' comprehension skills in texts and topics that students have been studying.
Yeah, and I think most directly, we have what's called the New Reads Assessment, which is looking at students are reading a new text for the first time and answering questions about comprehension. So like within that's part of the Wit and Wisdom curriculum. So in addition to the assessments that Amanda mentioned, I think the New Reads is most directly assessing the reading comprehension aspect.
Oh, I apologize. I did not think there was a lag. Were you able to respond? Were you able to complete your statement? Thank you so much for the nod. Okay, Board Member Tatum, you have the floor.
Thank you. And I apologize that I needed to step away for a few moments. So I missed the discussion of the contract, but I will go back and listen to it. And I don't have a question now. I just want to thank you for sharing the information and maybe a request that I did this last year with the secondary focused team at central office. And I think I'd like maybe to set up through Christina a chance to talk more informally with the elementary team, just to help me as a former educator get a better picture of like what the state of elementary education is like, and have some more context for the presentation that you shared today would just help me. So if you're willing to do that, I would be grateful for that opportunity sometime in the next month or two. But thank you for sharing tonight's information, and I will go back and review what I missed.
Yes, definitely. I would say, yeah, we'll be definitely willing and able to share any additional information, Mr. Tatum. So, and again, we can coordinate with Christina in terms of timing as to when we can get together.
Thank you so much. And Board Member Tatum, once an educator, always an educator. And I don't see any other hands up, and I just want to thank everyone for staying on a little longer than 6:30. And I believe that our meeting is complete. So thank you for attending, and have a great evening, have a great holiday, have a great break.
You as